So Kofi is here, I see. One of our new ones.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Have you done anything before with HTML or something?
Not at all.
Not at all. Did you
Yeah.
download the files from the Dropbox link and install Dreamweaver?
Yeah, I've been trying to install Dreamweaver today, but I've been watching the YouTube videos the last couple of classes trying to catch up.
Okay. You have the student subscription?
Yeah.
Okay. For the whole suite or?
For the whole suite, yes.
Oh, awesome. There are a bunch of cool stuff on it.
Yeah.
I will do a little bit with the other ones so that they're having a little bit new stuff today. And
Okay.
then I let them work on the project, and I take you and your colleague if he's on, and then we do some one-on-one to make you guys catch up a little bit.
Okay.
Everyone okay with that? With your projects? Okay. Any questions to your guys' projects? Any trouble you ran into?
Mine's more of a question.
Yeah.
So I know I brought up last class where I was talking about the different kind of CSS that moves, like when you have a smaller screen, like pixel-wise, like for phones and iPads, how it's different. Are we going to need to input like a specific kind of window for our project?
What are you asking exactly?
I don't know how to phrase this. This is awful, but naturally, like an HTML file will compress depending on the pixels. Do we need to do anything fancy for it?
Compressed. It will change stuff depending on the screen size. Yes.
Right.
Okay. Don't say compressed, please. Let's have an example here. So did we have something? Let's see if I have something in here. Okay, there is no. Okay, for mine. What is specific your question? So what are you trying to achieve?
On the rubric for our first project, it says to have like a mobile ready site. Do we need to do anything with the scaling of the pixels in those bars? Like
you're not scaling pixels.
I don't.
Yes, I want you guys to have at least one media media
command.
Yeah, one add media for screen in here with a certain min or max width or only max width or only min width in which you change something. Usually you go about that, you have specific screen sizes you're developing for, or like sometimes, let me preview that so you guys see that, what I mean. So, where's it coming up? Left, right, left. Okay. So usually you have, if it's a bad design or a good design, you have a layout like this, and you can try to look at it, how it will look for different screen sizes if you grab one of your sides of the browser and just resize it. And there will be a point where, for example, now the headline is too much. You know, it gets too much to easy read. It's not a nice flow on the page. This is where you say, oh, okay, till here it still is okay. And if it gets smaller than that, I make a different media query in there. And then I change the size of the font for all of them, or rearrange stuff, or different colors, or take a different image, you know. So as we learned, we do mobile first. So we said, this looks awful. You would design for mobile first. And then you say, okay, we're getting bigger and bigger. When does my layout break? And then I create a media query for that size and up and make the changes to make it look good or acceptable in that size till bigger, till it starts breaking again. And then I make another media query. Okay?
Gotcha.
Does this answer your question?
I know it was a very terribly worded question, but I got the gist.
Okay,
Thank you.
Because you're not resizing pixels or anything. A pixel is always a pixel. You're just changing elements from the HTML or the layout that you're doing with the CSS to have different displays for it. Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I want to ask, like, except that with the resizing, do we need to add something else? Like, we don't need really fancy site, just an image, a text, a header, a footer, and that would work?
Yeah, for me, where's the one I had here? Like I did with you here. Not image, where's the index? I have an image in the header. I have a navigation here. Then I have some text on here on the page and a footer. And then the two other pages that go with it. Let's preview that again. Okay, so I don't care what text you put on there. It should look nice, readable. So we had the header section here where I have the background image, I have a navigation. Then I made it distinguish between the header and the content with the horizontal line here. Then I have my content area where I have some text and images, and then my footer area down here. And for the other pages, I have the same header and the same footer. So I did that before I copied the other two pages. And on the about side, I have different text and an ordered or unordered list of something. And then on the contact page, I want to have a little form from you guys. So you're doing some form, and on the about page, you can also use a table or something. I just want to have you work with pretty much all the elements at least once a little bit, so that you run into problems and have questions. Yeah, and for me then, when I resize, I change the buttons, for example, to make them stack up. The font size a little different between this and that size. Yeah. Just with media queries, a little bit that changes something. Can be a color, font size, multiple things that you want to do with the site that you think you should do to make them look better and smaller or bigger sizes.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. Okay, then for you guys, I have a little bit more of the advanced stuff for you guys. Let's open that for me. To find my own stuff. Here. Okay, I want you guys, let's create just an empty page. So file new, and then just an HTML page without framework. And then let's call that one the attribute function. And then in the body, let's just put an heading 1. So we just have some text there. And then just let's put a link there. That does not go anywhere. Oh, actually, let's put something there. HTTPS www and then w3school.com. Okay. Then our text that we want to have shown up. And we close the anchor tag. So this comes handy if you have a lot of links and they might change, or you just want to have a different text here and don't want to write whatever is in the href attribute. But for people who cannot click on the device, they just see and they don't have a stored website, for example, and you want to provide at least the URL in addition to the text they can click, you can use a CSS attribute function. So let's put a style in the head. And this is easy done with CSS. So you just select the A attribute and then we put something after the anchor tag. So with 2 ones, no, 1, okay. And in here, I told you last time, whenever you have an after or before, you need a content in there, even if it's empty. And in here, we put one space, an opening bracket, and then we use the attribute function. And with that, we can select an attribute of something. So if you have here, you can say, let's go to the anchor tag and select the href attribute. And then close it again. And with that up here, you see that you have whatever you put here in the href for the link, it will be displayed here. So you can have a way different text and still display the href, so the location where the link points to, without having any additional typing. So for example, if we have a second link, that should then work too. Let's have a break between. So see, you don't have to point it for every link, it just automatically puts it back there. Everyone good? Okay. Don't save that one. Then what I used last time too, it's you can customize the scroll bar if you really want to. I wouldn't recommend it for every project, but you can. Just show you how with a new document. Okay. Let's put a section in here. With a warning that this will not work in Firefox and Internet Explorer. Maybe they upgraded their browser a little bit, but usually they take a while longer. Then let's just put, actually, we don't need that. Let's put a style in the head. Okay, then first let's select the body tag because we need to have a scroll bar. And let's give a height of 5 viewport heights. So 5 times the browser window height. By now we should have a scroll bar already. No, okay. Then let's put that one on div. And let's create a div. Oh, 5. 500. No. Let's do it old style. 3000 pixel. Why not? Oh, there it is. Let's do 2. So we get a little bigger one. Okay. So we have our scroll bar. And now let's style it a little bit. To style the scroll bar, you have to use some pseudo selectors. So 2 times the colons, then for WebKit, the prefixes. Oh my God, scroll bar. And then you can give the scroll bar a width, for example, if you want to make it wider. I know that Dreamweaver is not liking that too much. So I will always bring that one in a little bit. So let's make it even wider. Why is that one? Okay, let's continue. Maybe it comes up like before. So then the second one you can get on, you can grab on the handle. So the gray stuff here. So this is also done with the WebKit prefix. And that's one's called a thumb. And let's give that one a background color. Background. And let's give it a gradient, linear gradient. And let's go from white to 30 FF00. No, still not coming up. Sometimes my Dreamweaver takes a little. So then let's give, you can also give it a border radius. Border radius, let's give him 6 pixels. Okay. Interesting when it starts behaving proper. Then you can also customize the track behind, so where the scroll bar, the thumb writes in. WebKit. Scroll bar track. And let's give that one also a background color of red, something big and ugly. And then you can even change the thumb here when you hover, and that one is done with WebKit, scroll bar, thumb, and then the excerpt through the selector of hover. Background, linear gradient. Let's go crazy, 30 FF00 to 0030 FF. And I'm really disappointed in my Dreamweaver why it's not working. Let's go to my project where it worked. I did the same stuff here for my scroll bar here and it worked. So it is working. I don't know why I didn't want it to behave now. Yeah. So proof of concept, it's working. I made it here green and the track kind of blue, like my header image. I just didn't do the hover and stuff. So you shouldn't go over the top with that, because most of the users are used to having the gray bar they're always seeing there. So, but if it really goes within your project, you can even transform these. With these little CSS rules. Everyone good with that one? Did it work for someone? Yeah? Not for me. Okay. So then I also want to show you some fancy effect where you can make font have the same image than the background. And I just have a heading 1 in here, and I put the data text attribute in here. So whenever you see data hyphen something, that means you just created something that, in that case, I called it text, with I can then make JavaScript or something else grab on that part of that element. And I just put the same text that I have here in the HTML back there, just to work then in here. Then here in the body, I just made the display and the background image and make it big enough so that we actually have all the fonts and everything on there. Then for the heading 1, I positioned it and make it bigger and transformed it. And then I also gave that one here a background image, and had a background size of cover and the fixed position so that it's not scrolling or something on the when you move. And then I had the background clipping, and then I clipped it to the text. So I replaced the outline and the inside of the text font with that image. And then I filled the text with transparent so that you actually see the background. And then I put the content of our attribute into the h1 before element, so before it actually happens, and then fix that with the set index to the background and put some text shadows on here to make the black effect of it standing out a little more. Just that you guys see that this is possible. I don't want you guys actually do before get crazy with that, because it's just a fancy effect for a landing page or something where you're not doing too much with it. Questions to that one? No. Okay. Then parallax. Does anyone know what a parallax effect is? No. I had it on my page that I showed you guys. Not here. Okay, so these images here in the content I put with a parallax effect on there. That means I made them fixed to the background, and when you scroll, the images stay. So it looks like you're looking through a window while the content in the window stays, but when you scroll, the whole page moves over it. I didn't do it for that one, but then for the other two here. And that is actually pretty simple. So where do I have your pen? So I gave you a file in the second set of files. It's called parallax start. Let's open that one. Everyone open? Okay. So in here in the HTML, I just have a div that we're then using to put the parallax on. And I have a red box that says some text so that you're going to see that. So in the style, I only made the red box and I made it big enough so that we can use it. Actually, we have something to scroll. And then let's put the parallax there. So the class of parallax. And now let's put the image there. Background image. And the URL. I just took the map again here so that we have the image in. Okay, then I gave it a height, actually a minimum height of 99 viewport height. And then I made the background attachment. I fixed the image to the background, so that makes it not move when you scroll. Then I positioned it proper on the page, so background position, and I centered it. And then I didn't want to have it repeat. Background repeat of none or no repeat. And then I made the image be covered in the space it's given. background size of cover. Okay. My Dreamweaver really doesn't like me today. Okay. Is it working for you guys? No. I don't know why it doesn't like me today. Okay. Here it's working. Why not here? Ah. Height not width. Okay, then it's working. So we made the map 99% of the available space height. And then as soon as I scroll with the image over, you see the background is not moving. Okay. Then with JavaScript, you can get even fancier. You can have different speeds, like you can scroll your text with the regular speed of your scrolling, and for example, give the background image a scrolling speed of half the speed that you're using for scrolling. So it looks kind of like both are going up, but with a different perspective. Then, so we're having that one here. Then another thing I want to show you guys is background videos. And I think I gave you guys a file for that too. So here slow. Here I'm having just a section of my text in here that's below the video, and the stuff that highlights in the video I put in a div. So I gave the background video inside a div to have a space I can fill it out with. Then I put the video in there, and then I put another div in there in which I have the text I want to put over it. So, and then in the styles for the hero, which is the text part here, or actually that's the whole hero is the whole div. I gave it a height, and I positioned it relative, and then I made a display grid on it to put the font as the text heading 1 I'm having easy in the center. And that's then done here with place item center. Then the video, I gave a position of absolute and width of a height of 100%. And to make it fit perfectly in there, I have an object fit of cover. It's kind of the same we had with the background image with the where we had background size cover or contain just for video. And then the heading 1, I had to give another position of relative to keep it on top of it, on top of the video. And then I just had some text styling there to make it more readable. And then everything else is for the rest of the text. That's how you easily put a background video there. But as you see on that video, you shouldn't do too big, too long videos there, because otherwise it takes endless time to download your website. And visitors get pretty upset if it takes too long. They just click off, so you don't get the people on your website. So just short videos. And like this one, put it then in an endless loop where it just goes and goes and goes. Then another way to do some effects without JavaScript is here. Oops, doing it wrong. Yeah. So here I have moving water, but it's actually a regular image. I just put a filter on top of it that distorts the image and makes it look like the water is actually moving. And you can all do that without JavaScript, because usually if you want to have one of these animations for a regular image, you need JavaScript to do that. And here I show you guys how it's done. I just have put a div for the background image here. And then I went to Photoshop and cut everything that's not moving water out. Okay, I just made a map of the water and then put another div in here with the class of water. And then here's the magic happening. I put a SVG with the filter in it. And you can just use that one and play with the IDs and the settings here, duration, the keys, and the frequency to see how water or the water effect turns out different if you, for example, put the number of octaves 1 or 2 higher. And then in the CSS, I just put the background image there and positioned it on the page, and then put the other one on top of it. So if you see here, my cutout where only the water is in there, and then I put a CSS filter role on it, where I call the ID of turbulence, which is that SVG filter here of turbulence. And I have it for the full width and height. And then with the C filter settings, I made the distortion running smoothly over the water. That is really advanced stuff. Questions to that? No. I'm just showing you what you guys can all do if you dig a little bit into the world of CSS. Something else fancy with CSS that you might be able to use. So here, let's get rid of that one, is CSS counters. And I gave you guys a CSS counter starts file. So let's open that one. Okay. So in here is also explanation what does what did in my comments in the CSS. And I already wrote a lot of stuff for you guys. So then here in the body, I only have heading 1 and heading 2 for the 2 headlines, and then an unordered list for that one here. And then that explains everything for you if you have to read it later. And then I have 3 sections. One is the simple numbering, one if you have to make a table of contents with numbers, and one is for pagination. So then let's go to the first diff section. So, and in order to make that work, as I said here in the comments, first you have to initialize the counter on a parent element, and you do that with the counter reset, and then you put the increment for the counter there if you want to increment by 1s or 2s or 50 or whatever, and then you add the counter before the element that you want to use. So this one here. So then let's put it in for the first one. So in the first div, we put the counter reset. Okay. And CSS counter, and we put that to 0. Okay. Then in the paragraph inside there, we increment the counter. We tell him how much. So counter increment. And we want to do the CSS counter that we're incrementing, because you can have multiple ones. And we increment it by 1. Okay, and now put it on the page just before the paragraph. So we do that with content. And then we put there the counter. And then we have to tell which counter we're using. CSS counter. and it's already there. But we can also do it a little nicer for you. So let's put some additional things here. Let's give it a dot and a space. So we have first, second, third, and fourth. And whenever you change the unordered list to give it more elements or less elements, or you have a dynamic created unordered list from a database, you will have it all, the counter run through all of the list items you get on there. Everyone good with that? Okay. Then let's go to the table of contents. So here we have an unordered list and an unordered list and another unordered list inside. So we can also have multiple counters run through it at the same time. So here, okay. It's basically the same steps. First, we take the list styles away from these ones here. So list style none. Okay. And also put the counter there. Counter reset and CSS counter. And we start with 0. And then to the before, we have the counter increment for the CSS counter. There's, because we have multiple. And then the content counters, CSS counters, and we have some nice spacing again. Oh. The typo in the first one. So, and then you already have it nicely numbered. Everyone got it? Okay. And then the third one is for pagination. So I have some extra styling in here. So that it's then centered on the page and nicely done. But in here we have to put the counters in. We take the list style away again. List style none. Okay, and then the counter reset. And we put that one on a paginate counter. And we start with 0. Oops. Let's use display flex. So we have it nicely aligned. Justify content center. Up here. Okay, and then let's put our little counters to life. Let's, oops, wrong side. So border. What did I do here? Okay. Solid, 2 pixels, and let's give it a nice color, 50 CD7. Okay, and then let's put the color for the text there. Three, 6F, something blue. Then a little margin. 5 pixels, so we have a little more space there. Font size, 14 pixels. And to make it the pointer cursor. Okay, so. And then we put the counter in. We use every list item here. We want to put it in, but not for the one with the class of previous and not for the one with the class of next. So if you look at this here, I have an empty unordered list, and I gave the first one a class of previous and the second one, the last one, a class of next. Okay. So then we increment the counter here and the paginate counter. We put it with the content in there, counter. And voila, it's there. Is it working for everyone? Okay. Okay, that was pretty much everything I wanted you guys to see today, because I have our new student. We have a little extra time to spend with him. You guys can work on the project. And if you have questions, just yell at me in between. Everyone good? Okay. And I know it's close to 3 a.m. for you back there. So if you're, you know that you're good with your project.
I mean, I'm doing good, so if you're right, I'll go sleep.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, and I let you guys go on. And Kofi, now it's our one-on-one time.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so you said you have Dreamweaver already running, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the files, let me just bring up my cheat sheets. Okay, so and you've yeah, of course you've never done anything with Dreamweaver and so on. Let me give you a quick tour. So if you open Dreamweaver, it should pretty much look like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here in the top you have your menus, where you create new files and edit them, and you can even insert stuff here, and you can create new sites.
Right.
I will explain that in a minute. And here on the right side, you should have your file structure here. And the other important one is the CSS designer for you in the beginning. I will explain that one as well. And that's pretty much all we have to know to start working with Dreamweaver. Before you start doing any files, you know where you have your class files on the hard drive. You have them in a separate folder or something somewhere.
Wait, what files?
The class files that you downloaded from
Dropbox.
Yeah. Okay, so if you know where they are, then come up here to site, okay? And then you say new site. And then here you can give it a site name. It's whatever you want to have it. This is then what displays here on that side, okay? So this is just for you to remember what it is. Okay, if you have picked the name in here, then go here to the folder and browse the folder and navigate to the folder where you have the files in, and just select them and then choose. And then if you're done with that, you can say save. I will not do that again. So, and then it should come up here on the right side. For me, for example, I have the class files for HTML here. And then I have all these files that I have in the folder that are related to the one project under one folder in Dreamweaver. The benefit of that is if I'm having multiple pages and for example, I rename a page, Dreamweaver will then warn you and say, oh, you renamed the page and you have a link pointing to the page. Do you want me to update all the links on all the other sites as well, and then you can just say yes, instead of having a broken link that points to a page that doesn't exist anymore. So Dreamweaver tries to look after you so you don't break your website. Okay.
Okay.
And if you look at me, you have like multiple projects in here and they don't interact with each other on that. So it keeps it pretty nice and ordered. So then to create a new site, a new page, you would go here to File, New. And then here you have the document type you can pick from, HTML, or if you just want to have a CSS file or JavaScript file, and all the others, I will not talk too much about it. So we are mostly working with HTML and CSS. Okay. Later then, when we have Bootstrap, we could even use a framework here, but we're not doing that here either. And then you could even already put a title in here and attach a CSS file that you have already created earlier, but usually you don't. You just link it in later. And it is standard to have it on HTML5. This is the latest version of HTML on the web. If you want to program or write your site in an older standard, you can go to one of these older standards. Stay with HTML5, because the older your version gets, the more strict they get. So HTML5 is pretty forgiving. So if you forget to close your paragraph, for example, the browser just says, oh, it's fine, you know, I do it for you. But if you're going to the older versions, Dreamweaver, the browsers will not be so forgiving anymore. Okay, and then when you create a new file, you have three options here. The one is code, split, or live or design view. I'm usually in split view, so I have my coding page of the part of the page here and the preview of the page up here. You can also have it left and right and top and bottom, upside down, but this is usually one of the better ways to have it. Then for an HTML5 document, it always starts with that line here. So every tag you're having starts with, let me write one here. So all the text starts with a less than sign, then whatever the name of the element is, and then closing with the bigger than sign. Let's, for example, give here a paragraph. Then you have your whatever text or video or whatever you have in here, you write in between, and then you have a closing tag. Closing tag, it starts also with a lesser than sign, then a forward slash, then the name of the element you're closing, and then a greater than sign. This is always true, except there are a handful exceptions. So, what else? Oh, if you have two elements, for example, I have one here and I say this one I want to have bold, so strong. I have to go in reverse order of opening when I close them. So I opened the paragraph first and then the strong tag. So I have to close the strong tag first and then the paragraph. Okay. So it's like layers of an onion. You know, the closer to the core you are, and then the more out you're going. Everything good on that? Okay. Then, so we have the doc type here. So that's very important, the exclamation mark doc type that tells the browser, here comes an HTML element, or here comes a document for the browser. And then here it says HTML. And that tells the browser which format of HTML it is. If it's just HTML, then it means it's HTML5. and the browser understands that. Then you have the opening HTML tag and the closing one here at the bottom. So this is the outer layer of the document, which tells pretty much the browser, this is now the HTML document that we want to work on in the browser. Then you have the head. It goes from here to here, so head. In the head of the document is all the information the browser needs to know to display the website, okay? So here we have a meta tag that tells me which character set we're using. Here we have the title of the website, and the title of the website is pretty important. Let me preview one for you. So this title is that what is here in that part of the website. So this is where the title displays, and if you bookmark your website, this is also the name that is being bookmarked, so where your website can be found again. Okay. And then later, when we add other files to link to our page, so we don't have all the code in one file, it goes here under the table. So if, for example, a link to another CSS file, I would put here, and it's all before the head closes. Then we have the body tag, and in the body tag, everything that we want to have displayed to the user of the website is in here. There's never something between the head and the body, so never put something in here in that line. This will kind of look weird and breaks your page sometimes. So, and between the two body tags, the opening, the closing one, we put all the elements we want to display. So let's go to the basic elements we're having first here. We're having headlines, okay. Headlines start with heading 1 for the biggest one. Okay. And then I'm lazy, I'm just copying down. It goes down till 6. So heading 1, heading 2, heading 3s, and heading 3s, 4s, 5, 6. Okay, so you see they're getting smaller and smaller. This is also structural. So the most important headline should have the heading 1. The second most important headline should have heading 2. The third most important one should have heading 3. You get the idea, right? So you can then resize and restyle all of the headings. That you can make heading 3 bigger than the heading 1, but the structure should be good. In importance, the doesn't have to be the same as it is displayed. This is important for your search engine optimization, so that Google, when the bots run over it, they see that you have a proper hierarchy on your website and that it's coherent, so they rank you higher than if you have just gibberish on there. So headings are one of our big elements. Then paragraphs we had already. So every regular text content would be in paragraphs. Okay. And then what we're having here, if I, for example, need to make a hard return in here, I can use a break It's the first one that doesn't need an opening and closing tag. It's a self-closing one. And as soon as I put that here, you see that you have a hard return here. So sometimes you need to have a hard return if I want to have, for example, space between two paragraphs, or later if you have form elements. Sorry, you sometimes have to put a break in to have a hard line return, okay? Then the next one we are sometimes using, and it's a self-closing one, is a horizontal rule. It's an HR, and that makes just a horizontal line. Okay. And it's the second one that's a self-closing one. And then if you want to have something stand out a little more than a regular paragraph, you can have a block quote. Okay. Just text here. And you see it has a little different spacing. So we have a little more indentation from the left side and a little more spacing top and bottom later. And this is mostly used if you have a quote, as it says in the tag, if you want to have a quote of something there, like famous saying. Okay. One more important thing is all the HTML tags are always lowercase. Okay, everything is lowercase. All good so far?
Yeah, I'm picking up a little bit. Yeah, like still.
Okay. Okay. If I'm too fast, just throw a question in or something. You know. I'm giving you the speed tour right at the moment. Okay. Then we're not doing that here. Sometimes you can be in need of a special character. For example, if for example in your text you want to write an HTML tag, you know, or you have something like this, then you see I get an error message here. So the browser thinks that this is a tag. So I have to replace the less and greater than sign with something else. So I can use one of the special characters, and this one is they always start with the and sign. And then if you have a number, you have the hashtag and the number, and then you close it with the semicolon. Some of them also are with words or with abbreviation like AMP, for example, and then we have the semicolon. So for ampersand, you see that I have the ampersand here. Okay. Or another one, like if I use it with the number, I have the same one with the number here. What is greater than sign? I have the greater than sign, or LT for less than. You get the idea, right? There, if you Google special characters, you should have a whole list of these. Sometimes you also do the copyright sign with that, and that will be the ampersand, the word copy, and the semicolon. And up here you see you have the copyright sign. So this is pretty much all what I use these ones for. If you want to highlight parts of a text with a bold, for example, there are two ways you can use the B tag or the strong tag. The B tag makes it bold, but only for visual people. And if you want to be handicapped compliant too, you should use the strong tag. because it also, if you go over with the screen reader, it also enforces the voice on the screen reader. So for that, you, for example, highlight parts of the text and you say strong, and wherever the word is finished, you then close the strong tag. Okay. And
okay.
Okay. Of course, it doesn't work with block quotes. Let's go here. So let's put some more gibberish here. Okay. Okay, and then we close it somewhere again. As you see, it's a little darker here. Okay, that's strong. The same for if you want to have it italic, you can use I for italic, but it's not recommended anymore. It's EM for ampersand. Not ampersand. No, I don't know the English word. To have it lean to the side. So here you see it's highlighted as italic. Okay, this is also better for screen readers, again, for handicapped people. So if you want to put extra information into an element or in a tag, you always put it in the opening one. So for example, if we want to, let's pick here number 3. If we want to put something else in here for number 3, we go here, we make one space, and then we could say class, if we want to apply a class to that one. Give it a bad name, Boulder. And then if you have a CSS rule here, you can select the class and then write some CSS that says, if I can't write today, font weight, bold. Doesn't do anything with the highlight. Okay, font size, let's make it bigger, 3 EMs. See? And if the nice thing with classes I can apply multiple times on a page. So if I give the next one here also a class of Boulder, that one gets the same styling, okay? A second way of highlighting stuff is to give it an ID. Give it a bad name again, special. IDs are like, if you have a passport or a driver's license, it should be only once there, okay? So IDs are selected in CSS instead of the dot with the hashtag. So special. And here, let's go with font size. Font size, make it 5 AM. Okay. But if I put the ID of special somewhere else, okay, I already get a warning that ID must be unique. So it's only one time on the page, okay? This is mostly used then later if you have JavaScript with your page where you then select only one specific element or something. Okay. Okay, let's put an image on your website because it's not a website if you have not an image. So image is IMG. Okay. And it's also a self-closing one. So we wouldn't need anything else. But you have to tell the image or the website where to get your image, where you have it stored, right? So for that, you have a source attribute, src. And then you have to go through your website to find your image you want to have. And just select it and then put it. I have a crazy URL now here because I haven't saved the page, okay? So always save the page first, and you don't get these crazy URLs. You just get the link to your file. And with the source, so src attribute, we are now giving the browser the idea where to get the image from. And in order to be nice to our handicapped people again, there is another attribute we can give it. It's alt, A-L-T, for alternative text. And oops, with ALT, you usually describe what you see on the image. Okay, so this is, for example, ship and water. So when a handicapped person comes to the website and the screen reader reads over that part and then comes to the image, says, oh, here's an image of a ship in the water. And if you have really giant images, you can even give it a width and the height here. 50 pixels, for example. Okay, so you could even make giant pictures smaller here, but that's not good because you're still downloading the big image, even if you make display it then smaller. You know, you should always have your images sized proper to your website. So you don't want to have this 5,000 by 3,000 pixel big images if you only need like a 50 by 50 thumbnail, you know, because the download time is still the same. Okay, let's get that out here. Get a nice big picture. Another important part is for yourself, and even if you come back or someone else comes back to your website later, to leave sometimes comments in your website so you know why you did something or what the reason was why you did it or how you did it. And comments in HTML are the less than sign, exclamation mark, hyphen, hyphen. Then you put whatever text you want to have in here, and to close it, it's hyphen, hyphen, and bigger than sign. And this part will not be displayed on the screen. See, there's not this text here. Okay, good so far?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know you're getting the speed tour. What is a website without a link? Okay, so let's put a link on the website. Links are not with the tag link, it's called with an anchor tag with an A. Okay. Now, okay, you close the anchor tag and then you would write whatever text you want to display for the person to see the link. So let's put a bad one, click here, and then you close the anchor tag, okay? You see we have it, click here. And you need more information here because so far it's just handled as ordinary text. So for a link, you have to tell the browser where this link is pointing to. So where should the browser go if you click that link? And that is done with an hypertext reference. So href, okay, equals quotes. And then you tell the browser where to go. Let's use something, www.google.com. Okay, So now you see it's blue, it's underlined like pretty much all the links. And if you would click here in the browser, you would go to google.com. Then if it's like this here and the person in the browser clicks it, the browser window where your website is in refreshes with the other website, with the other page or website that you go into. If you want to not do that and open a new browser tab, you can tell that to the browser, and that one is done here with target. Target. And then if you say blank, it opens a new website. Self is the default. You don't have to use that. Top new parent I have never used in all my years. So usually use blank. And with that, if you click here, it opens a new browser tab. So if the visitor of your website doesn't want to go there, he doesn't have to go back in his history or with the back button here. He just goes to his tab, and the website he left from is still there. So you're not losing your customer to another website. Okay. IDs, I already told you guys. Another fun what you can do with IDs is, for example, you put an ID. Let's put a paragraph here. Back. Okay. And actually, the wrong side. Let's put an anchor tag here. Sorry. An anchor tag. And here we give it a reference again, hyperreference. And we going to an ID that we're creating later. So we're saying we want to select an ID and we call it back. Okay. Okay, so now we have a link here, and if you click it, you should go somewhere else, back up here, for example. Okay. And now we're going up here, and we give the top thing in our website an ID of, what did we call it? Back, right? Yeah, back. An ID of back. And now that back button points at that element here. So if I click here, I should go back up here. This doesn't, so clicking links and stuff does not work in Dreamweaver. For that, you would have to preview in the browser. Okay, but it's working. So we would end up with this here displaying like this. Okay. Okay, now we put a lot of stuff in here. We already even had some CSS here in the style and nested in the head. You can also point to a different CSS file, and that is also done here in the head below the title, but before you're closing the head. And if you're linking to a different file, you use the link tag. So here is the link. And then you would have to know where it is. And this time it's a source, SRC. No. I'm sorry. 3. Let's open one. You see how often I write that? Yeah, it's a hypertext. Okay, so you have the link tag, and then you have the hyperreference, where you're pointing to the CSS file here, for example, .css. And then in order to work, you also have to give more information to the browser, like here, the rel, the relationship of that file here to the file we're in, is that this file is a style sheet and it's a type of text CSS. Okay, so we can use the same one, for 3. Well, let's browse for it. Some CSS files that I have already. Styles. Don't look at my crazy link again. So the relationship is style sheet. And then the type is text CSS and close. And with that, we see that something have changed on our website because I have some other rules. And Dreamweaver is now nice to you. You get this new line here where you see source code, which is your HTML. And then he previews the CSS file here. So if you want to go to the CSS file and make changes there, you just click there and then you're in the CSS file. You can write your CSS in here and then go back to your file. So even if you have a JavaScript file, then it would be here in addition to the CSS and the source code. All good?
Yeah.
Okay. So then let's comment that out here. This is an HTML comment. Okay. Sometimes you have to click here in the preview to make something happen that you did. So then let's write a little bit more CSS. We have this here with that here. Okay. CSS. We already for you in the beginning, you probably can use the CSS designer, and you should have your cursor in the head, for example, and then go to the CSS designer and click in here. First, you have to click which source. So if we would have that one not commented out, we would have two sources here. The style, which is here inside the head in the document, or the linked file. You have to select the proper one, like here, select that one. Then media queries, I'm not telling you that one till later. Then selector, so you have to tell Dreamweaver what you want to select. So here we have folder and special, for example, or if you want to select the P for paragraph, then you hit return. You have to do it twice. And you see we already got this rule here created by Dreamweaver. If you have that one checked here, you will not see too much, so uncheck that one. And then here in the properties, you have 5 groupings. One is for layout, one is for text, one is for borders, one for background images and colors and gradients and whatnot, and one is for extra stuff. And here you can then set width or height or min or max width, different displays, box sizing. Here you even see margins and paddings. Margin is, let me explain it from the beginning a little more. Let's go to our website. Okay. And if you go here down there, you see that every, oh God, how much do they have there? On every element, you have this box model, okay? And this here in the inside is your element itself. It could be an image, it could be text of a paragraph, whatever it is. And then the dotted line here, that is, or this one here, that's the border. I can give a border top or bottom or right or left or all the same all around. And let's say this is also the border between the inside of our element and the outside of our element. So if I want to have more space between my, let's say, image to the border I made, then I have to put padding in there. So padding is on the inside. Or if I want to have more distance to another element, I have to use margin. That is a pretty big concept. So you're good with that?
Yeah, this one makes a little bit more sense just because of diagrams and whatnot.
Yeah, it's why I love to use that one. By default, the browser has content box. So the content is the size. And if you put a border or padding in, it always goes to the outside. So your element gets bigger. And if your element is like this one here, 1209 pixels wide, and you put a border left and right to it with 1 pixel, you have a 1211 pixel wide element, okay? You can change that. You say the box model should be border box. So that if you apply a border, it goes to the inside. So your element is, the border here is still 1209, but if you put a border in, the inside element here is only 1207. And for that, for example, you're not breaking a design on a website where you only have 2 pixels left, or it will happen, okay? So you can change that around. Okay, so, and you can, for margin, padding, or border, you can say a shortcut for all 4 sides, or only the top and the bottom, or the left and the right, or you can target every single one by one. So you can apply different border thicknesses or colors or whatever to whichever border you're targeting. Okay. Then let's go here a little more. Position, you can position stuff on the website in multiple different ways that makes you drive crazy later, don't worry. You can go float something left and right, which I can, will show you a little bit later. You can make something visible or not visible, which is not ideal, because if it's visible or not visible, there's still the space of the element here, but it's not visible. You know, you have suddenly empty space there. So usually you would go with display, yes or no, so on or off. With opacity, you can make something display or transparent. For text elements, you can give the text a different color. So this is, if you just use CSS color, it always is the text color. If you want to go for the background color, you have to call it background color, or for the border color, it's border color. So if it's just color, it's always the text. Then for text, it's usually the font in front, the font family. So you have a different font family, like New Times Roman, or what else we're having? You know, all the other, the handwritten fonts or whatever. And then you can style, have a different style, which is normal, bold, bolder, less, italic. variant. I haven't used that for a while. Font weight is where you make something bolder or less bold. Font size is where you give the font different size. Line height is, this is all within a line, like pretty much what the cursor here is, and you can make that one bigger or smaller. Nothing to do with the size of the letters. Okay. Having that here. Line height, and then you can text the line left, center, right, or justify, where it stretches out to tries to fill the space. If you have a text decoration, for example, for links, you can take the text decoration of underline out. You can indent text, so you give it a left space. You can give text shadow with the horizontal shadow, the vertical shadow, how much blur, which color. You can different text transform, white space, word space. You have to play with that a little bit to get the feeling for all of that. Okay. For list style, is it, for example, for unordered list or ordered lists, you can make it have round buttons there, or white buttons, or square buttons, or instead of Arabic numbers, you can have Roman numbers, or starting with letters. So you can make your numbering start from different points, and so. Border, as we talked before, we can go for all sides, only top, bottom, left, right. Then the width, the style, the color. To make rounded corners, you have border radius. Background color is what I told you before. If you have a background image, you have to give it an URL. You kind of saw that earlier. Yeah, you can give elements a box shadow. So if it's not the letters you want to shadow, you want to have the whole element, it would then be a box shadow. And that's pretty much all you need for most of the cases. So let's be fun and play around with some colors. So what I wanted to show you, if you have selected that down here and you go here, for example, text, and make the font size extra large, then the paragraph is suddenly bigger. Then let's go here and show you the colors you can use. In CSS, is always, you have the selector here. So whatever element you select, or if it's an ID you select, or a class that you select. So that's always what you start with. Let's, for example, here we select all the heading ones on the website, on the page. And then you have the curly brackets in CSS. And in here, then you have your CSS rules. So first you say what you want to change and into what you want to change, or what setting you want to change. Let's go here for the font color. So color. And then it's always a colon. And we have 3 different ways, actually 4 different ways to apply colors. You can just say the basic, I think it's now 20 or 30 colors, like for example, red. You can just write red in here, and you see up here, it's red, which is not really done. Usually it's done with hexadecimal codes. So you write the hashtag there. And then if you have the color selector here, let's go with some blue. We select some blue. And you see here the numbers going up and down. Okay, if you just click off, we have the color here. This is grouped in 3 groups. So the first 2 is red. The second 2 is green, and the third 2 is blue. And at the end of our rule, we should always put a semicolon. So if we write the second CSS rule, we're not getting in trouble because we're closing the first one with a semicolon. If you're having the same for the first and the second, and the same for the third and the fourth, and the same for the fifth and the sixth, you can shortcut it. So for example, it would be 06B or something. You have 0066BB, okay? So you can see it sometimes with 3 as well. That is the hexadecimal method. Then there is another way. You can use RGB, and then brackets. Okay, and in the RGB, it's done with percentage or with integer numbers. So you can say 100, and because it's red, green, blue, we have to have a comma in between and put all the colors there. 50 and another 50. And I'm having this purple color here. I can also do it with percentages. So, and I can only give 1 with percentage or all with percentage, and then have pinkish color. Okay. And I can also make it, the other one I liked more. Here, darker. You can also give it an alpha channel to make it semi-transparent. So then it's RGBA. And then you need a 4th value in here. And the alpha channel is usually something between 0 for fully transparent or 1, which is fully visible. So you can give, for example, 0.5. And then it would be semi-transparent. Where is it here? Okay. Let's do less. See something here? No, don't see too much change here. Okay. Maybe the color was better for this. Yeah. See, you see the difference that it's now, the white is shining through. Another color method we're having is HSL for hue, saturation, and lightness. So HSL. And it also is with the curly brackets. And here we have to have here the first one a number. So for example, 209, comma, then 255, 0, and which color we're having here. Okay. Let's give the second one a percentage. And this third one, we can do that here too. And let's try different colors. So we're seeing it actually. No. No, okay. And here we can also give it an alpha channel. So then it's HSLA. Okay, and then we also need the 4th setting here. And we made it shine through. Okay. All good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go here. And here, the files I gave you, if they have only start, then it's easy to just do what I wanted you to. But usually I have a start and a finished version. So if you have the start version and you try to play around and you don't know how you end up, it's always the finished version when we're going through stuff. For you now to catch up, it's probably best to look at the finished version and try to read through all the HTML and CSS, what I did there, okay? And if you want, just comment parts out and then comment and in to see what they're doing. By the way, comments. We knew the HTML comments so far, and now we're having CSS comments. They look a little different. This is a /* to start. Then you have your text, and then to close it, it's a star and a /. Okay, for comments. Okay. What we're having here, the box model I showed you already. The positioning, number 8. Let's look at number 8. So you're having the file too. So you can position elements different on the page with static. What is the default one? So if you put an element here, it's where it should be on the top left, wherever it is, like the second one here. If it's a static one, would be right under it here, okay? But I made it then relative, and then I moved it 30 pixels to the right. So relative to the position where it should be, I moved it to the right. Then I had another one of fixed here. This is that one on the right side. I give it a fixed position, and with fixed, it's fixed to the position according to the browser window. So I give it 40 pixels from the bottom up and 0 pixels from the right away. So it's where it is. And even if I'm scrolling, it's always at the same place, okay? Then I can give something an absolute. And for that, I have to have a parent element, which I give a position of relative. And then in the other element inside, so that one here, I give them the position of absolute. So with relative and absolute, relative on the parent and absolute on the child element, the absolute one, the child one, is positioned relative to its parent element. So you see here I have 20 pixels from the top and 20 pixels from the left. So this is this distance here and this distance. So usually it would be here in that corner, kind of like that one, but I moved it then in relation to its parent element. And then there is another one, it's called sticky. It's not 100% in all the browsers by now. Sticky means I can have it inside a bigger element, like the absolute was here in the pink one. And when I'm scrolling up, it would stick to the top of the browser window while I'm scrolling up till the end of the element is here, and then it scrolls out of view with the parent element. You will then later see it in the HTML, in the Bootstrap part. There I have an example for that. So, yeah, we have a little more time. Number 9 here, I have an overflow example. So I have, if you have text, for example, or an image that overflows an parent element, you can control that, how you want to display it. So here we have 3 divs. Oh, div is another element I haven't told you. So div is an empty lasso, okay? You can use divs to grab more than one element. So if you have, for example, 2 images and a paragraph, and you want to grab them all together, you put a div around all of them. And then you can style that div differently than the rest of your page, for example. And so a div is if you want to select a group of elements, specific. And then if you have, for example, in here, you want to just select a few words of a paragraph or something, you can use a span tag. Okay, span. Oops. And span is if you want to lasso something less than an element. So just a few words or letters or whatever you're trying to select. This is less than an element. And then you can put classes here as well and style them different or put some other crazy behavior on them. So this is how you grab more and less than one element. So here in the CSS, I have a div around all of these 3 boxes, and I have 200 pixels of width and 50 pixels height. So they're all overflowing it, okay? So the default behavior is display overflow, so visible. So nothing happens here, right? For the second one, I have overflow hidden. And you see that everything that's bigger than the box it's in is not visible anymore. So if you have too much of an image or a text, it is not seen anymore, but the user also cannot get to it. And if you want to have the user get to it as well, then there's the third option, which is overview scroll, which then leaves a little scroll bar that you can go up and down. Yeah. So the text or whatever you have in there is not lost. Okay, no. Okay, so we're having that opacity. I told you already a little bit. Then floating elements. Let's have that here. Number 10. So here I have a couple of divs with just one letter in it, and then all of them have a class of box, which I styled with to have them the background color, the size, and so on. And everyone has an ID with each other's letter in there. So here's the styling for the box to make it blue with white font and big and nice looking. And then let's give a few more things here. I can select every little element. So if I want to have all of them float, for example, to the left side, I can give them a float of left, and now they're all in a line. Okay, there's also a float right, which, as you see, then it starts going backwards. So the first one flows up and goes to the right, the second one flows up and goes as far to the right as it can, and so on and so on. It is like writing in a mirror. And then we can give every element its own float left and right. Let's say, for example, for E, we give a float of left, then the E goes to the left side. All others are still floating right. I could then make them stop floating, for example. So let's put F, and then I give them a clear. And if I want to have both sides to be cleared, I give it a both. If I only want to have the floating to the left side be cleared, I give a float clear left or right for the right side. So, and now that I cleared here with F, F started a new row. And because I made both clear, if I go, for example, now for G and give it a float left, it starts in a new row. But if I give H also a float left, it goes next to each other. So that's why here was clear both. And let's go to G and be nasty and say, I give it a clear of right. So all the right ones are cleared here, but not the left ones. So that's stuff you do with floating. Floating is only used maybe for photo galleries anymore, or if you have content with an image and you want to have the content run around the image. I have an example later for you for that when we're a little more settled with our things we can do with CSS and HTML. Okay. So, yeah, let's go here. Here in our first, we have different selectors in CSS. So we already learned about the tag, where for example, if I have two heading ones on the website, I collect both of them with the same heading one, or heading two, or paragraph. So it's for all of the heading ones on the website. I can go and select only specific classes. That's with the dot. I can select specific IDs, which is done with the hashtag. Or I can even have different selectors. I can class with the ID have, if something, for example, have two classes, let's open number 12 for that one. It's a little better for that. So here, you see I have a couple of paragraphs on here. Then I have a paragraph with the span inside. I have a div with a class that has paragraphs and spans inside, and another div with another paragraph inside that div. And then I have two images, and one has an alternative tag and one not. And I have a link here. So, and then we have a style sheet with it. And here, so far, I only have a rule to make the two images the same size. So now for different selectors. Yeah, for example, I can use I can even select the body tag, you know? So let's select that one here. So body. Let's give that one a background color. Of ivory. A bit quicker. You barely see the difference. So let's go red. But now you see the difference, right? Okay. I hate that. So then we had the class. Well, we have a class of, here. We have a class of first that we can select. And let's give that one a color for the text, blue, quicker. And as you see, I have applied the class of first here to the first one and the class of first here to the third one. And both are targeted. So then I can say the ID of first and give that one a color of blue, red. Okay. And that one is now red. Then we can target something that has two classes. For example, here we had the one that has a class of first and a class of second. So if I want to have an element that has both classes, I don't have a space in here between, okay? Then color green. And voila, our one that has both classes is now green. Then I can even go for descendants, so for child elements. If I have a selected div and all the paragraphs inside a div, then I go this way. And here's a space in between. Okay. So the div with all the paragraphs, background color of aqua. Get fancy. Okay. So remember there's the div around that one and all of them get the background color. Then I can go for specific child elements. I can say the div with a class of third, sorry. Okay, and then that one has a paragraph inside, and I only want to have that one paragraph that's with the greater than sign. And then I can give that one a background color of silver. Okay. So now we transferred only the first two paragraphs and not the third one. Why is that? So we had the div with the class of third selected and only the paragraphs that are direct childs of that one. So it's only that one and that one, because this one is a child of that one, which is a child of that one. Okay, so there's one generation in between. That's why it's not selecting that one as well. Then I can select attributes of an element. Remember, we had the two images and only one had an alt tag. So we could say, let's select all the images and then only the one who has an alt tag with the square brackets and give that one a different width of, let's say, 50%. And now we see that the one who has an alternative text got half as wide as the browser window, and the other one stayed at its size. Then the one with the child selector here, you can even do that with multiple ones. Let's go div with the class of third. And then there is another div inside. And inside there is a paragraph. And we only want to select that one paragraph. And what are we giving there? Background color of yellow. Okay. And then we see only that one got the yellow background color. And then down here we have a link. And with links, I can also give pseudo selectors. So if I just select the link, I can say color red, for example, and it gets red. But what if I do, or if I want to do more? So I can say here the anchor tag that has been visited. Okay, when you click that one before, I want to give that one a color of silver. Okay, so I don't know if it works in here in Dreamweaver, but as soon as I click that link and come back to the website, I see that that one has now a silver color. I also can change the appearance when I'm hovering over it. So with that, I do a hover. And then let's be fancy here. Background color of yellow and the color of black. Nah, do red. So as soon as I'm hovering, I get, it is blue. So as soon as I'm hovering over it, I get the yellow background and the blue font color. Everything good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I got you halfway up to speed. Only if you have time, look at tables, lists, and forms. Forms are pretty important. And then, or we can do next time, we can do a little bit of table lists and forms. If you have questions, just ask me in between. And then the next important one is multimedia, how you get multimedia files on there, and media queries. That is really an important one. That's the one where we talked in the beginning about having the website look or behave different if you have different screen sizes. So if you want to play with that, if with the files you downloaded, tables are in 14. So I have a start and a finish here. Okay. And lists are in 15. Then forms are in 17. And multimedia is in 19 and media queries is in 20. So if you want to look through them a little bit, and then if you have questions, just email me. It doesn't matter if it's Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, I will try to answer them, okay?
Okay, thank you. And
in the files also, you should have, where is mine here? A file that's called HTML 1.0. And it's a pretty big PDF. And you can look at that one or look through there too. It's everything is explained in there as well. Even more than we covered today. this file here. Oh, let's have it. See here, it's what is HTML, the element, the tags, headings, title, attributes, and so on and so on. I think it's more than what I can pack into the classes in here. Even there should be even tables. Yeah, tables here. Yeah, different form elements, and then multimedia elements, media queries. So you can go through here, and if you still have questions, just email me, okay? Okay. And oh, you should also have the, oh, where's that one here now? You should also have the syllabus with the files downloaded. And there you see project 1. The other ones have to have it ready in a few classes. And I will give you a little longer time because you just started now in the end, but try to read through here if you understand everything, and ask me if you have questions. And it's basically just build 3 pages, home, about, contact, and according a CSS file to it, and have it look nice and working, and then have some media queries on there to change at least 1 or 2 things when you get to smaller screen sizes. Yeah, and there's here the other ones have to have it by, what is it, 16? Yeah, next Monday. And I think by end of September, I'm fine with you, just before we start with project 2, okay?
Okay.
And just try and do, and if you have trouble even with the project, just text me.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let me share my screen.
Oh, yeah. You have to stop mine, right?
It said you disabled screen sharing.
Okay. Now it should go.
Okay. All right. So here's my website. So I have my different tabs up here.
Yeah.
And then for the About Us, I just wanted to copy everything into the Contact Us, and then from there go back and delete it, just because it would already have all the tabs on it. But whenever I do that, it's just a blank page.
Okay, you're doing the HTML, you're talking about copying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're taking all the files from About and putting it, so all the HTML, and putting it into Contact.
Yeah, here's my, let's see if I can drag this over there. So like, and also some of the things don't match up. Like if you look at this, it has 5 different, okay, now it has 3 tabs, but there I go. Yeah, I just wanted to create something for Contact. See, so it appears here, it doesn't appear on Dreamweaver.
Sometimes you have to click into the preview window to refresh it in here.
Why did that work this time? Okay. All right. I guess that works.
Send, put all the files in a zip file or something, send them to me, and
Okay.
I can look through them.
Okay, sure. I also had a different question. So I went through, my tabs weren't working correctly whenever I would input them, like just type them in, like the actual file name like this, but it would work whenever I did insert hyperlink like this and then pull them from here. So why can't I just type them in?
Okay, I might see a problem there is you have spaces in your file names, and Dreamweaver and maybe your browser are accepting them, but when you have them on the server might not like you. So
Okay.
just for future reference, don't put spaces in your names.
Oh, like this. So it should be.
Yeah. Or you can put a hyphen in there, underline. It's all, just not space.
All right, well, I'll try to figure that out.
Oh, because now you took the spaces out. You saved it now on your machine with space, so you have to keep it in there for that. It's just when next time you're creating the files, don't put spaces in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Oh, you mean like up here? Okay.
Or at all, if you want to have it actually put it on the server as a real website, should be on the web. Most servers will probably not want to let you get the files if there are spaces in there. Yeah.
I think I had one more question about this syllabus. I have to pull it up. Okay. So for the section 508 rules, did we go over that in class?
A tiny little bit. Remember when we had images, I said put alternative tags in, alternative attributes in.
I think so.
Yeah, this is one part of 508 rules. Don't use B for bold text, use strong. Don't use the I for italic, use the EM tag for making something italic. And then this is pretty much all we did so far. There is plenty more. I even in the files I have you download, there are some cheat sheets for HTML, CSS, and also for section 508.
Okay.
So if you want to look through them, by now it's just have alternative text there for the images. Don't use B for bold, I for italic. It's pretty much where we are at the moment. I don't want to hammer you guys from the beginning with everything.
Okay. And then for the does the website also look right on the phone or tablet size? Is that just inserting fill for every single photo?
No, that's done with a media query. Remember, just resize your website, and then if you see that the picture is getting too big or too small, or depending on which side you're going, just write the media query where you target that image and do something with it to make it look normal again.
Okay. I think that's everything, and I'll send you those files.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll look over it probably tomorrow and let you know if I find some stuff. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from other? No, no one else. Okay. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Or yell at me now if you have questions.
Doing
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.